I think pricing is so important because pricing is time. Good pricing is time with the people you love, and that's really and truly where I want to get. And so let's go ahead and I think we'll just dive right in. Actually, I'm going to read this to you, and I had it printed out because it's lots of words, but actually, and I'll let the home audience read this. I want to read it because this is a situation where on my forum, on the Sandy Hook University, we have an incredible group of people. We're a very tight community. We don't allow any personal anything. It's not a bantering forum. It is specifically for work. So a student of mine did the model search that we taught you. And she did it, and she had a client come in and did a complimentary session with a free credit. So we're already starting here, right? We've got to get the client to here. She's a newer photographer, and she's trying to build her business, and she received this letter that I'm going to read. Dear photographer, now you got to hear this. I didn't see any information on ordering 4x6s. What company do you go through to get them printed? I'm basically going to do an a la carte stuff for myself and grandma's, but everything seems pretty pricey. A girlfriend of mine is a photographer, and she uses White House Custom Color and MPix, and we've gotten great pictures through those means. Now, right out of the gate, this woman is mentioning professional labs. She's straight up telling this photographer, like, I know where you get your pictures taken or printed. Now, would you consider ordering mine through there, or do you have a certain place that you like to print them? Here's my favorite one of them. I understand that you have to mark them up, and you can add to the above prices, but I can't afford to get many pictures based on the prices that you gave me. I'd like to have digital copies too, but at your cost, that seems impossible. I love that she said, I understand that you have to mark up and you can add to the above price. She's giving her permission now. It's all right if you charge me a little bit more, but for heaven's sakes, I can't afford what you're talking about here. And my favorite closer, I'm a little shocked at the prices, to be honest. In my experience recently, I paid a flat fee that included the session and all of the images on disc, and then I ordered prints in addition. Let me know what you think. Here it comes. I'd love to advertise for you and show these off on Facebook, but that's not an option right now. That's taking the head and slamming it to the floor, isn't it? You're dying here just because it's painful, honestly.
I've pretty much received.
You know this client.
I've received something like that.
You got that letter. You got it. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people at home are literally cringing at this and dying over this because this is every day now. When you hear somebody talking about the fact that the last photographer shot the whole session and gave the whole thing on a disc, they're putting this industry in the toilet. And you want to see me get mad about anything, and it's very rare that I ever raise my temperature, but this is killing me too. It's hurting me too. So we have to educate everybody. Now, I was on a trip, and my students are very, so great. I mean, I literally talk to them every day. In fact, like I said, I miss them because it's been a few days, but I didn't get this. I didn't get to see this as fast as one of my other students. And a big shout out to Lisa, because I know she's watching. She's been with me ever since I've done my first show. She was there. She joined the university right out of the gate. She is one of those students that I have watched go from here to the top of the chain. She is absolutely going to kill it in the universe because she listens and does everything that other successful people are doing, period. And it's incredible. So she actually answered this before I got to it. And the answer is so beautiful, I have to read it to you, because it feels like it came from my heart. But before we go to that, I want to tell you what this photographer's really expensive prices were, because I mean, they must be pretty bad from what we're reading. So I emailed the photographer and I said, okay, so what are your prices? What is the range we're talking about? And her prices, the really expensive 8x10 at 25 bucks is what we were struggling with here. So this is where the industry is going. For a client to be so obnoxious over such a small amount is really ridiculous. So I want to read you the follow-up letter, and I appreciate you allowing me to do this, because this is Lisa's follow-up that I swear I could have written myself, but it's so beautiful. And hang on, it's something that I want you to feel, because this is exactly how I feel about portraiture and what we do. All right. Regarding my pricing, the price of my artwork is not solely based on print costs. There are many costs associated with legitimately running a photography business, including educations, licensing, research, software, and a great deal of time. For each client, I spend several hours of time. I consult on a location and clothing. I travel to the location. I set up. I do the session. I put everything back in my car, and I travel back to the studio. I then open the files and carefully select the best images to proof. After ensuring proper color corrections, I open each file and do a custom edit, choose the exact actions and modifications that make each image shine. After the proof meets my approval, I create a slideshow and maybe even a composite of the work, showcasing which images work well together. I am available to consult on an ordering questions, and after receiving an order from my client, I place the order with the lab that I have chosen to work with. I check each print when it comes back to make sure that it is exceptional. If you compare my prices to other professional photographers, you will find that my pricing is low. I will be raising my prices after the first of the year to make myself more in line with other professionals of my caliber. I do understand that not everyone can afford my prices. Remember, there's no obligation to spend anything more than your print credit, and I would love to help you choose which image to order. Just give me a call and set up the ordering session. Now, this is important. About digital imaging, I know that my clients love the digital images for sharing online. However, I am selling art for your walls at home. I want to give you a finished print that will stop you every time you walk past it. Sorry. My preference is that my clients invest in quality art pieces, therefore the digital images are priced at a premium. The minimum print order of $250 stands firm. After all of the time and effort that I expend on each of the images, each one is its own individual piece and is priced appropriately. And I think that's so beautiful. It kills me. It is spectacular, because the truth is, this is what we do. We're not selling a piece of paper. It is an entire lifetime of an experience. I am not selling a $2.50 piece of paper. I'm selling 24 years of my life, and it comes at a premium. So keep that in mind. So this, of course, is just incredible. This was a great experience to see a student step up to the bar and hit it so brilliantly. And you know what? My opinion is the client that received this, they're not going to become a great client because they received it. The artist that sent it is going to become a great artist because she believed it. Whew. Moving right along. All right, the variables that affect pricing. The cost of doing business, the quality of your work, and the perceived value of your work are the things that actually affect your business. You have to understand all three elements in order for you to be successful. Quality and perception are based on the skill of the photographer, but the cost of sales is a fixed price, and it's the most important in being profitable. Understanding what it costs you for the actual physical pieces is very important. Quality and perception are based on the photographer and what the photographer is, what the clients feel the photographer is. I know a lot of really amazing photographers that have gone out of business, that have breathtaking work, but they couldn't run a business. And to be very honest, I know a lot of photographers who are not very good photographers. And I've met even a few that don't even care about photography. It's been money for them. And you know what? They're very successful and they make a lot of money. The difference between them and what I want for you is they have an attitude of get them in and get their money, and then that's it. And they're constantly marketing to get new people in because they're not selling an experience. My goal is to get them in, to create a relationship with them, and to photograph their babies' babies. That's what I'm going for. My gosh, when I get to the babies' that's gonna be, oh, wow. Enhanced perceived value, there is a second tier to this. So you will learn this piece you learn as you transition into more experience. Your personal appearance and your mannerisms, the atmosphere of your studio or home studio, your business ethics, do you have an identifiable style? Your staff, how they surround you, the presentation of your products, how you deliver, and your studio's reputation, and of course, customer service. These are what we call enhanced perceived value, because these are physical things that a client has to experience with you and will help guide them on their decision to stay with you. And we want to work on those as well. What really affects your bottom line? Well, several things. Changes in your session count, the cost of doing business, and the economy. Those are the three things that really can drastically affect your session or your profitability very quickly. Pricing structures are based on several things. Or there are several types, I should say. There are a fixed structure, which is like mine. It's based on the evaluation of your cost of sales. There's a competitor comparison, which means you go out there. This is how I started. You go out and get everybody's price list, and you go, okay, well, they're charging $50 for an 8x10. I'm going to be $44. And it's based on no information. The problem with that is you don't know that photographer. what if they won the lottery and this is just what they do as a hobby? Or what if they are literally going bankrupt and you have no idea and you just decide to use their pricing? You just can't do that. And then of course the worst type is guesstimate. That's where you just throw a dart and say, oh well, whatever it is, and that of course can put you right out of business. So you do have to understand the cost, what it actually costs to run a business and what the actual product costs are. So what are your goals? You have to know that in order to build this price list. You have to know, what is it? It's an actual number. What is the number that's going to make you successful? How much money do you think you need to make as a photographer, honestly? What's, just out of curiosity, and I'm not embarrassing anybody, what do you all think a photographer should make per year? Just throw it out there. We're talking gross, not take-home pay. The actual, what is a good studio's, it doesn't have to be yours, good studio's take-home pay. I'm sorry, gross.
I have no idea.
Take a guess.
80,000.
80,000.
100,000.
100,000.
I was thinking 100,000 would be my goal.
We can get you there in like a couple weeks. Honestly, I promise you, $100,000 is not enough, honestly. Now, you're not talking take-home pay. Are you talking take-home pay? You're talking
that's
gross.
gross, and that's with, like no employees.
I want you to make so much more than that, and you can, because if I know your cost and your overhead, even working out of home, there's a certain percentage of that money that has to go elsewhere. So if you start taking off of that $100,000, you're going to put yourself in the average income. I want all of you to be above average income, all of you, everybody out there. I want us to be successful. So it's okay, the 100,000 number, I'm not trying to embarrass anyone because you're obviously just throwing out a number like I asked you. What's wrong with $500,000? What's wrong with $1 million?
That sounds good. I'll take that.
Yeah.
All right, so then that's, you have to put it in here. If your goal is $100,000, you're only going to get to $100,000. Change that goal in your mind. Change it to what you really want. Now, we're going to go through a process here. First of all, time with your clients equals time away from the people you love. I will drive that into your grave because you have to know what your loved one's time is worth. Now, I had the sweetest little Facebook post yesterday because a nice lady commented on that concept, and she said, well, I don't have children and I don't have a husband, I'm single, and I don't have that same, she said, I don't connect to that. So how do I figure out what I'm worth or what my time is worth? And I felt like saying, do you have a Harley? Do you have something that you want to connect to, And that's honestly how I feel. If you don't have a husband that you want to get home to, then if you don't have children, then you want to get home to your husband. If you don't have a husband, then get home to your motorcycle. Just get home and get where you want to be. And it doesn't have to be a person. If it's an experience, you want to travel, you want to see the world, then that is your time with your loved ones, which can be with yourself. So we're going to establish what your loved one's time is worth. In order to create an effective price list, you're going to have to know a few things. Your clients want freedom. They want choices, they want to have unique products, and they definitely want to get things that nobody else has. So when we design a price list, your lowest package option has to be the minimum you can make. Now this is where we tie it into the time with the people you love. If you've done the math, the stuff I'm about to teach you, if you understand it, then the minimum package, your lowest package, has to be the minimum you can make per hour to leave your loved ones, period. Does that make sense? So if you've done your cost of sales, you know your business, you've mapped it out, and you know you have to make $500 per hour every hour you spend shooting, then your lowest package can be what? $500. You cannot have a $299 package because you can't afford a $299, because the first person that does that, it actually puts you more in the hole than you think. You're not just short $250, you got to do 2 more clients to get to par. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So be careful. So we know we've established that. Now I'm going to show you something really cool. We're going to give away a pricing book later, and it has these actual Excel spreadsheets in them, but these are fun. I also want you to know, those of you who are not going to run out and buy the pricing book, that's okay. It is expensive, but it's also the entire credit system. So it's for people who are ready to transition, and I'm not suggesting anybody go out and buy it. In fact, I'm telling you, you can do this yourself. There's a lot of brain in here, though. We just happen to make these sheets to make it really easy for you. But I want to show you how fun this is, because I love numbers and I love plugging in things, and I'm really one of those, I like to speculate, so I like to guess how much I'm going to make. You have to understand your goals. I always say dream big. We got the $100,000 goal, right? We're going way past that. We're going to put a real goal. We're going to put a successful goal, something that makes us good money, that gives us those extra things we want in life. I want you to see the truth, though. What would it take for you to make $1 million? How much work do you have to do for $1 million? think about it for a bit. Now I'm going to show you a little chart and show you how it works. Let's say the perfect dream is $1 million. So we want the perfect life with our perfect dream. I only want to work 3 sessions per day. I only want to work 4 days a week. And I only want to work half the year. So my goal is $1 million, and I'm going to show you this chart. It's going to tell me that my sales average has to be $3,200 per session that I do. Now watch this little video here. You can see that in this little chart, these are fun. We're going to type in those goals. So we want to shoot 3 sessions per day. We're going to shoot 4 days per week. That's a total of 12 sessions. I only want to work 26 weeks out of the year, and so my sessions are 312 sessions. Therefore, at $1 million, I have to make, in the green box, $3,205, okay? So how many of you guys are averaging about $3,200? Anyone? So this might be a little extreme. Now I'm going to tell you about the $1 million concept before I go on, because before I take you down to reality, I want to talk to you about my world. When I was growing up in photography, nobody asked me what my dream was, and nobody told me what a photographer made. I had no idea. I thought it was a lot because photographers were really cool and they wore cool clothing and they had a big camera, so it had to be a lot of money. And so I set out to build a business, and I grew and grew and grew my business. Well, by the time I was 28 years old, I was just starting to really get in the industry and learn and try to take classes and stuff. I still hadn't been knocked over the head with the reality of being a photographer. It was still like a dream and a passion. So in my later 20s, I made a goal that I was going to make $1 million in photography before I hit 30 years old. And I'm very proud to say, before I hit 30, when I was 29 years old, I made my first $1 million solely as a photographer. Now, if I had sat in a room like this and had people tell me that $100,000 was the mark, I probably would have set that goal for maybe $200,000 at 30 years old, because I would always push. Nobody told me, I didn't know, I just did what I thought. I literally at that age went, I think $1 million, that sounds like a good number. I think that would be enough. And so I did it, and I'm very proud that I did that. But let's talk about sacrifice. What it took to make $1 million. It took a lot. It took far too many hours away from my family. It took far too much of my heart and soul, and it wasn't worth it. And you know, the funny thing is, you took the $1 million, and I've come to the conclusion, the more money you make, the more money you spend. You don't ever get any more. But it took all my time away, and it took out my passion, and it wasn't worth it. $1 million was not worth it. So let's take your goals, because now you know you can make $1 million in photography. I made $1 million I've made over $1 million in every recession we've ever been through, or the last 2 that we've been through. So even in a recession, you can make $1 million as a photographer, I promise you. Do I make $1 million now? I don't, because I don't want to make $1 million in photography. I make very good money as a photographer. I shoot about half of the year. I make very good money as an instructor, to be quite honest with you. I'm not going to lie about that. I love this. If you didn't catch that, then I can't convince you now. But these are my passions. I make money following my passion. And so it's monopoly to me. There's no number that is perfect. I just love what I do, and I'm very blessed that I can do it. And I think every day, I'm so thankful every day that I can do that. So let's become more realistic. Let's back it down a little bit. Now you want to work 4 sessions per day, you want to work 5 days a week, and you want to work 50 days out of the year, or 50 weeks out of the year, meaning you're going to get at least a 2-week vacation. Your goal is now $300,000. That tells you, with our little calculator, that your average needs to be about $300. So now we're talking turkey here. Like, think about this. You want to do 4 sessions per day. You want to shoot 5 days a week. That's reasonable. You're going to get your 2 weeks paid vacation, which is awesome. You got to shoot 1,000 sessions per year, but you're going to make $300,000. Your sales average only has to be $300. I bet a lot of you are doing that already. So you're already on your way to making $300,000. It's not that hard to do that. In fact, most of you are probably looking at 1,000 sessions going, I don't want that many sessions. And I don't blame you. I would say that your goal should be to raise that sales average. So this last little one we're going to do is, to me, maybe your idea of a perfect business. Now we're going to do 2 sessions per day. That's reasonable. I only want to work 3 days a week. Now I have 50 weeks out of the year. I'm going to get my 2 weeks paid vacation, but you know what? I just gave you a raise. You're going to make $100,000 and work less days per week. You just got to make $1,300. Now remember, that's an average. Does that mean every sale is going to be at least $1,300? No. It means that some of them will be less than 13. Some of them will be much more, and your average at the end of the year is going to be here. So just for fun, because I love my little charts and I love looking at them, it's magic. 2 sessions per day, 3 days per week, 6 sessions per week. You're going to be open 50 weeks out of the year with a vacation. You're going to do 300 sessions, which is totally doable. You're going to make $400,000, and you can do this. Now, does that seem like a better dream than $100,000, honestly? Does that seem reachable to you? Could you do that, honestly? And if 300 sessions is too many for you, then raise your sales average. Let's get those prices up. Let's sell those product lines. Let's get you your dream. But pick the number and shoot for the number. And go far beyond what you think you can do, because believe me, you can do anything you want. All right, now we know how to handle the cost. Let's get going on the pricing. In order to create an efficient, and I do want to tell you again, cost of sales is, it could be an entire day conversation. I'm just touching it. I certainly could teach it much better, but we are out, we're running low on time. So we're just touching base, and there are lots of books and education out there, and that's how I learned too, so you can get it. You need a simple price list. Your clients only need to know the basics, and you need to be prepared to answer every question. I get asked this all the time. In fact, if you come to, you're coming to a studio workshop, aren't you? I'm so excited. You're actually going to be at my studio in like 3 weeks, huh? Like you can take more of this. The difference is we're working from the management book and you are building your company. So that's what we'll be working on. But one of the things they're going to ask you for very soon in your paper, you're going to do homework. We want your website and your price list. And we talked about that. Your website is going to tell me what your I should say your price list is going to tell me what you think you're worth. Your website is going to tell me what I think you're worth. Now, when I get your price list, and I'll warn you now, if it's 3 or 4 pages and it has every product you have on available, I'm probably going to come after you. Look at it. Your client doesn't need to know all that. Numbers scare people away. So if you show them everything you have, you might be going, oh, but we have all these great products. They don't need to know. And they look at it as a tally. And it's going to cost me that, and it's going to cost me that, and it's going to cost me that, and they start to shy away. There are basic things that people need to know. They don't have to know everything. However, you do have to be prepared to answer those questions. And in the studio, in the sales session, we have a pricing book. So it has every product in there, so we can showcase them. The price list that they take home is a pricing menu. That's different. It's a basic structure of what they need. You want to make it easy for your clients to order. We don't need to overwhelm them. We don't need to have them stressing about money. We want to make it simple. Price list should be simple, organized, and easy to read. The basic, clean information. There are many types of price lists, and you have to design one that works for you, but you have to understand why it works for you. The question is, should you put your prices on your website? That always comes up, and I bet we're going to beat you to it. So should you list your prices on the website? That is a yes, no answer. It is both yes and no, and I'll tell you why. Yes, your prices should be online, absolutely. Listen very carefully before you do anything. Your clients should never have access to it without you giving it to them. I do not have my prices on my website. You can't go there and click a button that says pricing and find out what I charge, because you know what? At my price point, if somebody went to my price list, 80 to 90% of the people that saw it would never make the phone call. I would scare them right out of the water. However, I have a lot of clients that fly in from other cities. And so when they come in or when they contact us and we have to do a phone consultation, I need to be able to address pricing. So we have a URL. It's a hidden URL. You could use a password type or just a hidden URL. And basically we give them that URL, and then they can go there, and we do it right over the phone. They go there, they're looking at our price list, and we can have a conversation. You know my goal. My goal is to get them in for that conversation, but the rare occasion that they can't come in, I do want them to have access to that. So as far as listing your prices, yes, you should have them online. Nobody should have access to them until you give it to them. And it's not a free-for-all. It's a consultation-only basis. Let's go through the different types of price lists. There's the a la carte price list. Everybody has your own version. A la carte price list means it's just individual print prices. It's a lot more flexible because the client can build what they want, but there's no incentive to buy. Packages usually are what we're all ingrained to do that. Some photographers have an a la carte price list, and then when you hit a certain price point, a premium, you get a discount. So at $1,000, you get 10% off. But remember, your client's always looking at it as, I got to spend $1,000 to get a deal. It's a negative to me. So I'm not saying a la carte's bad. We use a la carte in the credit system, and I'll explain to you why. Packages are more effective for the average human mindset. Clients love the idea of bundling. We all get the whole buy one, get one, two, or get two free. But does your client really need or want the products that you're offering? Is this really what they want, or are you just making up a package? It's 2 8x10s, 2 5x7s, and 8 wallets, that's what you get. Well, what if they don't want an 8x10? Are you gonna be flexible? Well, the question is, this brings us back to old school sheets, because when I started photography, an 8x10, 2 5x7s, and 8 wallets were the same thing. So I priced them the same. You could have this sheet, or this sheet for $29 or whatever my price was. I met a mentor that changed my life, because when I asked him to review my price list, and when he did, and I hopefully haven't covered this yet, but when he did, he asked me to explain sheets. He said, "What is this sheets? I don't understand." And I looked at him and I knew he was a professional. I'm like, it's sheets, like the lab, you know, an 8x10, 2 5x7s, 8 wallets. Your clients love it. They can exchange. They can have whatever they want. And he looked at me and he said, an 8x10 does not equal 2 5x7s. And I said, yeah, it does. They're like the same size piece of paper. And he looked at me, and this changed my life. This is one of those big light bulbs. He looked at me and he said, Sandy, an 8x10 is an original piece of art. 2 5x7s is a piece of art for mom and a piece of art for grandma. How could you possibly charge the same price for 2 pieces of art compared to 1 piece of art? And it literally hit me like a ton of bricks. He was right. We're not selling sheets, we're selling art. And if it's this big or this big, it is my work, my way, my soul, and there's a price to be paid for that. And so I went home and I changed my price list. And I actually changed it over to a system where it didn't matter what you bought, an 8x10, a 5x7, or a 4x5, it was all the same price, because it was a piece of art. Now, as an artist, it helped me grow. It helped me grow the confidence to look somebody in the eye and say, this is my work, instead of this is a sheet. And so, of course, that was a good thing for me. But you know what? It honestly, there was a negative factor to it, because yeah, clients, some of them accepted it, some of it were not accepting of it. They didn't like it and they got frustrated. And there were just too many times where I felt that negative, battle between the relationship. And I love the power, but I didn't love the consequences that came out of that. So eventually I switched over to credits. Now with packages, again, the buy more, save more attitude everybody gets. The client's going to feel better about it. You also can control your costs, because you know that this costs you this much every time you sell one, and packages can drive higher sales. Now we're going to go into the credit system, which I'm so I've shared this with thousands of people, but not tens of thousands of people. So this is a really big deal. This could be a world movement here for the state of photography. The credit system eliminates working with the dollar. We take the dollar sign out of everything. This allows us to customize and select only what the client wants. They literally get to create their own package, just like the a la carte would normally do. So we get the best of both worlds. I am able to create a package structure, and they are able to design their own packages, and we're going to explain that. Now, let's talk about how it works and why. This is super simple here. I'm going to use my cell phone here because I need you to use your imagination. Let's say this is an 8x10 in my studio. What does this cost? How much do I sell this for? Remember? $150. Thank you. My studio at 8x10 is $150. So you're my clients. You sit down and I say, you ask me how much is an 8x10, and I say this 8x10 is $150, or I say this 8x10 is 10 credits. Which one do you want to get?
10 credits.
10 credits. Why?
Smaller number.
It's a smaller number. It sounds a lot better, doesn't it? So you can imagine we're taking the numbers, the dollar, and the word dollar never came up. 10 credits doesn't sound bad at all. I have clients all the time that sit in a sales session going, now, how many credits are an 8x10? And I'll say, oh, they're 10 credits. And she'll say, oh, okay, you know what, go ahead and give me 2 of those then. What did she just buy? $300 worth of 8x10s. But when she's thinking 20 credits, it's like, oh yeah, put 2 of those on there. Now, before we go on, I have probably thousands of you out there going, no, wait a second, that's trickery. You're sharking your clients. You're tricking them to buy. It's absolutely not, because what I want you to remember, at the end of that sale, I have to look them in the eye and tell them their total, right? So there's no way out of it. You can't hide what you're going to charge them, and that's important to note, because this is not trickery. It's not sharking your client. We call this dream selling. And this is the best part of my job, because when a client comes in for a sales session, we sit them down and we tell them, First of all, we're going to share with you a multimedia presentation. We want you to sit down and just enjoy the show. We're going to show you images. Don't think, don't try to remember anything. We'll go through them later. This is just for you. They're going to see a slideshow. The next thing we're going to do when that's over and we see the emotion and we see the awe, we're going to turn to them and say, okay, now I want you to do me a favor. I want you to pretend like everything we have is free. Now, of course, they go, ha, 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 ha. And you're like, ha, 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 just kidding. And I say, no, I know it's not free, but I'll tell you why I say that. Because you know what? I want you to think about this as an experience. Now, if everything were free, you'd get what you want, right? And they, of course, agree. And I say, okay, well, here's the deal. We work on a credit system. So the way it works, you get to select any product you want, any way you want it, and we're going to put it into a package. So there's that word. We're going to put it into a package. And actually, the more you spend, the lower your price goes per credit. So what you're going to do is you're going to dream sell. You're just going to tell us what your dream is. We're going to help you get there, and we're going to put it in a package. At the end of this sale, I'm going to give you a total. And when I give you that total, if it is out of your budget, that's no problem. We can take things off, and we can get it right where you want to go. But honestly, I'd rather get everything in the package that you want, and then let's take out the things you don't want. Does that sound fair? And that's exactly what we do. Now, do you know it is 10 times easier to get people to take things out of a package than to get them to put it in a package? An extra 8x10 at $150 is a battle. Putting it in there and taking it off is not a battle. So that's why it works. And I see your faces. Do you get that? Do you understand how powerful that is? Because it changes everything. It takes the number out of the equation, or the dollar out of the equation. With a credit system, the client becomes less concerned about the cost and more interested in selecting what they want. Clients like things in terms of credits, or like thinking in terms of credits instead of cash. And the client is able to purchase their dream package without breaking the budget. We assure them going into it, we're not trying to take advantage of you. We're not going to let you overspend. When you hit your mark, we're going to be right there for you. We're educating you. We're taking care of you. Super simple math. You got it already. In my studio, a credit is $15. Now, where did I get that number? We're going to talk that it really is an arbitrary number, to be quite honest with you, but it's really a matter of what your studio pricing is how we teach it. Simple math. One credit is $15, and 8x10 is $150. So if you were missing a divided sign, yeah. So 8x10 equals 10 credits, basically. So divide $150 by 15, and you get 10 credits. Now, oh, hang on, I got to show you how this works. So now we're going to talk about the cost of sales. Well, actually, I'll just show it to you. So this is how we're going to type in the price, the credit value here. So this is how we do our price list with these cool little charts. $15 here. So now over in the line bar, we're typing in an 8x10 portrait. So the size is an 8x10. The description is a single print. Color corrected is what's coming up. And then there's going to be one of them. And so the price, our retail price is $150. So now this cool little chart automatically does the math for you and tells you that it's $10. If we were to change that to $12, it would redo all the math. If we change it to $5, it will redo all the math. So this is why it's easy. Now, for those of you, I know there are a ton of people that have the pricing book already, and they have these charts and graphs. You could do this manually. You don't have to buy my book to do it, and that's the honest truth. It takes a little more time, and that's okay too, but it can be done. Once you choose your credit value, then you do the math. If you take every product you have, everything from wallet to a wall portrait, the biggest one you have, and put them in the sheet and do the division, you're going to have your credit total price list. So it's not hard. This is not brain surgery. I do want to explain how you come up with, oh, and here's, we're going to change it actually to a $5 credit because I want you to see this real quickly. So it's the same thing, 8x10 portrait. We charge $20 for an 8x10 now, and it's 5 credits, or $5 a credit, so the credit total equals 4. Now, I kind of made that really confusing. The bottom line is, the first one I showed you was $150, which is what my 8x10 is. So we use a $15 credit. If your price point is lower, if you're in the $20 to $60 range, you're probably going to use a $5 to $10 credit. If you're $60 to $150, you're going to use a $12 to $15 credit. That's not a have to, that's a guideline. Because if you're using a $15 credit and your 8x10s are $20, it's a 1.5 credits. And working in half credits is not fun. So if you do, and mathematically you will come up with a half credit every once in a while, just raise your prices, make more money. That makes sense to me. You can lower them if you want, but that seems kind of silly. So that's what these two charts were, to show you the difference. Depending on what your prices are, You have to pick the credit number yourself. You can literally play with the math all day long. That's why we created these charts, is just so you can just type it in. If that doesn't work, type another one in. You want to give yourself a pay increase, change the number up $1, and you've made yourself a lot more money, and it's that simple. Now, again, when you choose your credit value, it's based on your price point. So whatever your prices are, if you have around $150 8x10, you're going to probably want to be in the higher credit value. If they're a lower price, $20. So what you can see is these are reasonable numbers to give to clients. Does that make sense? And it works. Let's talk about designing a pricing guide. This is an example of the baby prices. This is our least expensive price. And this one's probably 2 or 3 years old, so our prices are a little bit more than this. But this gives you an idea of the a la carte page. This is what the credits are worth. Notice we don't put any dollar signs in there. 7 inches, 5 credits. It doesn't tell you how much it is by dollars. We don't want the dollar signs. That's the whole point, is to take the dollar signs off. And then we go from there. Now here is the package structure with the a la carte prices. So here's your a la carte. Here's your packages. So you can see the lowest package, it's 30 credits for $4.49. Highest package, this is again baby price list, $17.50, 200 credits, but guess what? It comes with a brag book and an 8-pose archival CD. So we're going to talk about that later. Why do they get some bonuses? Because we want them to spend that well. We're pushing that sales up. So what this means is they can take anything we sell and they can pick anything they want and make their own custom package. So even on our product lines, they are going to pick and choose the ones that they like. And here's, as an example, this one called an E squared. This is simply 4 5x7s, 2 horizontal, 2 vertical in a frame. I took whatever it cost me, whatever my retail price was going to be, and divided it by 15, and I came up with 25 credits. Now, let's say that price of frames go up, and now the supplier's 20% more. All I have to do is raise the price of the credits. So if this was 25 credits, and I raise it to 30 credits because it's costing me more money, guess what? My client never notices. If you take this frame and a client bought it last year for one of her daughters and it was $299, and this year it's $389, she's going to notice. She absolutely knows. We change credits all the time. I've never had a client come up and say, I think I paid 32 credits last year. They don't remember. It takes all of the money out. So you guys can see where I'm going with this. It's fascinating to take money out of money. It's the coolest thing ever. And it works. So this is why we do this. Now I'm going to break this down because there is one more factor that you have to consider in this equation. Credits versus cost, your credit system versus your cost of sales. This is an example of a client coming in the door, and let's say she wants that small package. It's $4.49, it includes 32 credits. So she says, I want an 8x10, 4 5x7s, 8 wallets, and of course I have to put it in a box. So I do the math of what my cost of sales, these are the actual costs to produce an 8x10, and I come up with $16.66. I'm charging her $4.49, so that's a pretty good markup, right? We're making some pretty good money. Now, again, we know that's not your only cost. You have your overhead and many other general expenses, but just we're looking at cost of sales. Now let's say the same client goes, you know what, never mind, I don't even need all that. All I really want is a frame with 3 5x5s. Happens to be the same price. A walled frame collage is 32 credits, still $4.49. This time the collage frame's costing me $42.50 and the prints are costing me $2.25. So now my cost of sales is $44.75. So it cost me twice as much to give her that frame, didn't it? Two things here. Number one, I'm making $4.49. It's costing me $44. I am still making really good money. However, I lost 20 bucks. So the question is, well, how does that work out then mathematically? Sometimes you're losing money. What it's about is finding balance. Because guess what? The majority of my clients buy paper, 8x10s, 5x7s, and wallets. And we know as photographers, we make the most money we make selling paper. Our highest profit margin is in 8x10s, 5x7s, and wallets. I make more money on selling $800 worth of 8x10s than $800 canvas print because of the cost of sales. So if you know that the majority of your clients are going to buy paper, what happens is it averages out. Yes, every once in a weird while, I'll get a client that comes in and only orders wall portraits that are framed with glass, and those cost me a little bit more. The other 80% of the people buy paper, tons and tons of paper, and I make a lot more doing that. So it's all about balance, and if you find a product, again, if this was costing me, like everybody was buying it because it was such a great deal and it was costing me too much money, what are we going to do? Raise the credit price, right? It's that simple. So it takes about a year to evolve into this system and to perfect the system. We're still perfecting it, yes. I know you're going to do it because I can see your
I love
eyeballs are
it.
like this big.
I love it. I
We're
love
done.
it so much.
So good.
Remember the referral program and giving people on the referral program things? You would mention cash though.
Perfect. Thank you. Great question. So when we gave out a gift certificate, we mentioned the total value because credits mean nothing to a
Exactly.
consumer receiving a gift certificate. So yeah, when somebody buys a gift certificate, we never sell gift certificates for 100 credits.
Okay.
Because they're like, what's that? You know, but if it's 100 credits, my gosh, that's a lot of money. We would absolutely state the value. For an unknown consumer, we want them to think money when it's in our favor. For our clients, we want them to think credits. We want them to get out of the dollar system. And I can see that some of you guys really have it. And if you have questions, you're welcome to ask them now, but I'm going to try to keep moving too. No, go ahead, ask it. No,
My only question was, you're selling to your clients. What if, grandma wants to look at the pictures, or do you offer anything, or
Online?
how does that work? Yeah, online.
That is a great question. If somebody wants, we get asked every day, do you put the pictures online? No, absolutely not. We do use SmugMug, and we put pictures online for a lot of reasons. We put them on for events and charities and things that we do. If you control the sale, you capitalize on the most money you can make, period. On down the chain. We tell people if you can project, project. If you can't project, then big TV. If you can't big TV, then big computer screen and so on, because the more you show, the more you make. So when it comes to grandmas and all the people that want to see the images, there's several ways that we make that happen, but what we do is we tell the person, like, mom, come in, and once she places the order, we have a template. You have that template. And it is available on You Can Do It. You're going to get a free credit today, so that's something that you should consider. There's a referral template there, and what it is mom places her order, and at the end of her, we do require that she comes in and places the order, and if she says, well, my mom would really love to see these, and we say, you know what, that's great, because guess what? We're going to send her, we're going to actually send you some of these images, our favorites, images that you have selected, and you're welcome to forward that on to her. Mom has purchased her order and closed the sale, and now what we do is we have a template, and we put anywhere from 3 to 6 images that they've chosen, and we email it to the parent, the person that bought the pictures, and it says at the bottom, it's their remember, it's a template, so these are small files, they're not going to be able to rip them off, and they've already paid, and at the bottom it says, we just had a wonderful experience at Sandy Putsch Portrait Design. I wanted to share a few of our favorites with you. By the way, if you contact them and mention this email, you'll get a 50% off session. So now mom gets that. She's already paid. We've collected her money. She gets that, and she sends an email out, or we send the email to her. Now she goes, oh, I'm going to send this to all my friends, to my sisters, to my grandma, to everybody. Now they have copies of those pictures. But guess what? They now can we have grandmas all the time saying, oh, my daughter sent me this. Can I get a 5x7 of that print? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Now, there are occasions where grandmas are involved and they need to order. And in that case, we would use something like SmugMug or something like that. Mm-hmm. But we will not do that until our client has placed the order. We will not put anything online without that happening. Is that cool? All right. So,
do we have time for a couple questions?
you can. Let me just make one closing statement on this segment, because honestly, in order for this to work, you have to believe in it, period. I know there's literally half the audience out there going, there's no way, that won't work, no how. It won't work for you. Honestly, you're out of luck, and I'm sorry I can't help you. Half of the people are like, I think I could do it, maybe I could. I get the questionable part because it's a little overwhelming the first time. But you know what? You can do it. Those of you who get it, who have the big light bulbs going on, understanding that this changes everything, you're going to make a lot of money, honestly. It's going to change everything. And I'm here to help you. I'd love to answer a million questions, but I know this word has probably been beaten up a million times now, but I'm sure it'll be on my headstone when I go down. But I'm going up, by the way. I'm trying not to go down. I've been in the ground, for heaven's sakes. Anyway, in order for this to work, you truly have to believe in it. And when you do believe in it, and you can look somebody in the eye, and you can tell them, this is what you do, they're going to believe in it too. And that is what I want you to remember. Yes, ma'am.
Well, there's a lot of questions about the credit system. So maybe the first question is, where can you find out more information about it?
Oh, this is such a good plug here. It just so happens. So not me. Unfortunately, I literally, and this is not, I'm going to give one of these away, and you're giving one of these away. In fact, we gave the management book away, so this is the second companion to this. this is 24 years of my life, literally. The entire system is in here, everything how to do this. This is not a sales plug, this is just an honest answer. I put it all in here because I can't teach one at a time. Certainly can't teach it over Facebook, and that's what I end up trying to do. This is everything you need to do. All of those charts, there are tons more of those graphs and things to make it fun for you, are in here. And we also produced just a massive amount of price list templates for babies, children, families, weddings, seniors, you name it, so that they're all customizable. So it is all in here, and it's on youcando.com.
Okay.
However, or if you're a member of SPU, our university people, they know it. If you're not, you don't have to buy anything. The problem is, I only have this much time to teach it. I've given you what I can. You have to believe in it first, and then you have to do the math. It's simply taking, and I'm going to make this really simple, figure out the credit that you want to charge, take every retail cost and divide it by that credit, and that's your credit total, and it's that simple. I did it all by myself, and I have a 9th grade I don't even have a 9th grade education. I got bored with that. So if I can figure out monkey math, then anybody can do it. It did take me a long time, and it's a lot of years of evolution, but it can be done. So I apologize that there's an item attached to it, but that's just the truth.
Trudy from trudytakespictures.com is wondering, how do you charge your family and friends? And
Oh
if
my
it's
gosh.
different,
That's such a great conversation.
how do you decide who's family or friends enough
I'm going
to
to tell
receive
you, okay, you're killing me because I took that slide out because it's such an important slide last night, but it does take a little bit of time and I'm trying to get through this. But you know what's funny? I teach a pricing webinar every month, and we have about 300 to 1,000 people at a time that actually go to it because it's like 2.5 hours, and like this, it's Q&A. But that slide is the most popular slide in the world, and it seems so silly, but I'm going to do it because you asked for it. So thank you, Trudy, correct? Thank
Correct.
you, Trudy, out there. Thank you. I'm going to answer this question for you because this is, and it's unfortunately comes with a story. But, I said it. I get tired. I have to hear me all day long. But it's an important story, and it will hopefully make a difference for you. I had the same problem that everybody has, friends and family. I started my business, photographing my friends, church people, friends, and then what happens is you evolve your business, all of a sudden, church people, are they really your friends? And then there are people who are definitely not your friends, but think they're their friends or act like your friends when they come to buy from you. The same stuff happened to me. Well, my honest answer to the friends and family question is simply this: don't have any friends and don't have any family, and then you don't have to worry about it. Just kidding. However, that's kind of how it feels after a while when you feel like you're putting yourself out of business, serving everybody else for free. So here's my honest answer. My family is everything to me. My brothers, my sisters, my parents pay nothing to come to me. Now, I couldn't always afford to do that. There was a time where I had them pay cost and things like that. But honestly, I hated that because I felt like they thought I was ripping them off for $2 an 8x10. So we had this wonderful cure. This was a happy accident that I will never forget. My family lives out of state. So for me, and that's another thing, is they're far away. So I don't get if they were at my door every step or every day, I might feel differently about this. So my family's out of town. My brother came into town with his family, had a beautiful family session, breakdowns, everything. He came in to order, and I literally turned to him and I said, you know what, brother, I won't even name his name, bro, I want you to get whatever you want. There's no charge. We're not going to show you a price list. Just get what you really want. I want you to dream big, get everything you want. So, of course, he and his wife sat down, and they did. They got holiday cards and wall portraits and 8x10s and albums and all this cool stuff. Well, at the end of the day, we looked at the total, and he had spent retail price well over $6,000 in his order. Now, of course, that's not quite what I meant when I said anything you want, but now I'm in a problem because do I go back and say, when I said everything you want, I meant like here. I was in a very uncomfortable situation because I knew that was still going to cost me, even at my cost, hundreds of dollars. And so I didn't want to take it back, but I was a little uncomfortable with that price point. And it's not his fault. He didn't know. We said, go nuts. So this truly was an accident the first time, but it's not an accident anymore. His order comes in, put it all together. It had to be shipped out of state to him. Sales associate the associate that was putting it together didn't know it was my brother. We have different last names. And so she saw this massive total. She printed out the order, and she printed out the total, and she put the whole entire 3-page receipt in the box. So of course my brother calls me. Hope he's not listening. He calls me. He's like, Sam, we got the order, and it's like real. And he's stuttering. He's like, it's just so beautiful, but oh my gosh, I had no idea. It's $6,000. I can't afford that. Can I send some of this back? And of course, we can't take it back. So I was literally immediate reaction was embarrassment. I was like, oh my gosh, Mike, you should have never seen that. I am so sorry. And this was honestly, sincerely like what I meant. I'm like, they didn't know it was you and you should never have seen that and everything. And he's like, he could not stop talking. He's like, I cannot believe you charged that much for this many pictures. He's like, I can't believe it. And you know what happened? I saw this weird thing happen where all of a sudden what I did was valuable. It was real. He realized that anybody that walked through my door to get what he got would pay $6,000. And it changed everything. They have been back since then. And I do give it for free. And you know what? They've never taken advantage like that. They still get what they want, but not $6,000 of what they want. They're very gracious when it comes to that. But they now know what it's worth. So we accidentally always put a receipt in for our family, even though it's free. And that's something I'd highly recommend because they need to know the value of what you do. That's family. That is truly, you decide who your family is, but my family is my brothers, my sisters, my mom and dad, period. Friends. Friends are a different situation. I strongly encourage you not to have any friends, and I tend to do that. It did get frustratingly awkward there for a while. There's that transition where you've given discounts and given low prices, and then you have to make that change, and then all of a sudden there's that super awkward moment, and you have to go through it. Everybody does, but there's a point where I decided this. I decided that my friends were just like my clients, and they were going to pay regular price. But I usually had a discount that was reasonable, 10 to 20% off friend discount. And these are close friends. This is not the people who think you're friends. 10 to 20% was usually my standard off of my package prices. Now, when they came in and ordered, they would sit down and place their order. And you know what? I would watch them. And as they gave up a few items to stay within their budget, I'd write those down. And you know what? They're my friends. And so almost all the time, I would order a few things that were gifts to them that they didn't know I was going to give them. So at my discretion, I would give them a few things. They paid full price, or they paid, because my theory was this, all of them had jobs. I would never walk into one of my friend's husband's doctor's office and say, you know what, can I get this for like cost? You know, I wouldn't, nobody does that. Why do people think photographers are cheap? We're running a real business. So my theory was treat me like a real company when you're here. Treat me like a real friend when we're out of the, when we're out of my studio. And you know what? A lot of my clients, or my friends, what happened is they would place their orders and they'd be a little bit frustrated, and then they'd get a few gifts and they'd be like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. And next time we'd crossed over. Now it was, I could surprise them and do what I wanted at my discretion based on, honestly, how much of a friend they really, truly were to me. And that was awesome. Now, outside of that, everybody else is treated equal. The people who think they're my friends and are not my friends are not my friends. And honestly, I will tell you this. The majority of my friends do not come to me as a photographer. They go to other studios, and I'm totally okay with that. We're still friends. It's okay. I'm not everybody's photographer, and I'm certainly not affordable to everybody. It doesn't hurt my feelings. My friends, when they want something really special, will come to me, and I will give them something really special because they're my friends. So I know that's a long answer, but it's an important one. And there was one more, your employees. You didn't say that one, but it'll be, you go look, it'll be there. Employee discounts, there are two things. We're very standard. We have a 60% employee discount twice a year, 35% off of frames and hard products that cost us more. And that's not a super great discount at our price, but I'll tell you why. At the holiday time, we give a gift certificate to each employee based on their tenure. We average about $100 per year. And so if an employee's been with me for 4 years, in addition to 60% off, they're gonna get $400 to spend. I want my employees to come in. I want them to utilize my services. I want them to be proud of us. I want them to love what we do. If they can't afford us and they're not proud of our prices, then how can they sell them? So we do give them that. So I have employees, literally most of my employees have been with me many, many years. So I hope that says something about who I am. People don't get me, and people think I'm a very strong, very standoffish person. And what people don't realize is I am literally the biggest introvert in the world. The people around me are literally protecting me from myself. But my employees, I mean, I've had some for, the fewest is a couple years, up to 16 years. So Erin, wherever you are, hi Erin. She, if she gets $1,600 in photography, hopefully she can enjoy that, and that's my gift to them as well. So does that answer that question? Woohoo! Should we keep going? Cool. All right, so leave. And here's for all of those of you that really don't believe, you can take this one. Those of you who say it can't be done shouldn't interrupt those of us who are doing it. And honestly, that's the truth. Sorry, I don't even, I'm not even going to apologize for that one just because I truly believe this. And do you know why I believe it? I was that girl that didn't believe. I was the girl that stalled. And I was the girl that took time away from my family thinking that cheap prices and doing lots of photography was the answer. Giving it to my friends was the answer. Giving everything for free was the answer. It took my life away from me for me to understand that you can do anything you want. You just have to believe.